Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice little Thursday morning over here from Dubai, a very sunny and bright and vibrant Dubai. Absolutely love this city. In fact, thinking about maybe even setting up a secondary base right here after spending the week here with Elsa. We've had a phenomenal time. It's a bit of a bittersweet day today as we are going to be leaving, but you don't give a fuck about that. However, we will be back. We will be back in the good old battle station tomorrow, but we probably won't resume the usual routine until early next week. Anyways, with that said, let's get into the Krown Chain application over here, which we found at app.cringe.net. And I should probably address the elephant in the room. Bitcoin doing some pretty fucking incredible things, huh? New all-time high, and the party yet again resumes. Anyways, what do we see on the top end dashboard over here? We do see that Bitcoin dominance continues to rise up to the heavens as we would expect, and I am massively bullish on this over the next few months here. There will be, of course, pullbacks on this, and perhaps one even coming relatively soon. But overall, altcoin Bitcoin pairings probably going to be at the brunt end of that, and altcoin USD pairings, however, very likely going to follow Bitcoin. In fact, it looks like in the last 24 hours, a lot of big altcoin gainers. What do we see as far as Fear and Greed Index goes? The highest read that we have seen in multiple months now, at an 82 read right there. But of course, you do expect this to get to some more crazier numbers as Bitcoin is, well, quite literally at new all-time highs, or putting in new all-time highs right now. Anyways, into the market data tip we go. I do want to check where we are at on the leverage scale. And again, I don't have access to all my usual tools today, so I can't do the full, the full look inside of under the hood. God damn it, man. My words are escaping me today. Again, another headache of a day. Oh boy, certainly worth it, but man, definitely pay for it. But yes, we do see that the open interest is actually pretty much around exactly where we were at prior all-time highs, in fact. And so there are a few major different things with this than the last time that we were here, namely the funny rates that you can see right on over here. Now, it is starting to trend up, obviously, as it has been realistically since late September at about the $40,000 low. However, it is far and away from what we've seen on other extreme highs coming in from basically the first half of, or actually the first 3 months, more or less, of 2021, where Bitcoin was putting in the all-time highs and going on that phenomenal run. For reference, we were living above about 0.1% region for the funny rates, which does imply that you're paying, a decent amount to be holding your long positions. I mean, if you're holding $1 million in contract long position on a derivative exchange, paying that, then you're probably paying, $5,000 to $8,000 a day just to hold that position. So that starts to, eat away at things over time. Right now, for reference, we are paying about a third of what it was before at 0.0299, basically 0.03% across the board on the global scale. Now, here's also the big thing as well. We do see that the global liquidations, long and short, is pretty much nil. So we have not seen any major liquidations over here, and the funny rates in combination with the liquidations would imply, on top of also the open interest as well, that we could very well see, or at least we have not necessarily seen the short positions being squeezed out of this market just yet, as perhaps they are being a bit stubborn. With that in mind, there certainly are going to be a lot of over leveraged long positions as well, and I suspect that this is going to be an incredibly whippy-washy market to come for the next for the next few months here, but namely this next week here. I do suspect that we're going to see one of those massive Darth Maul dildos and a lot of tears on both sides, actually. So do be aware of your risk, do be aware of your leverage, and do be aware of the consequences of such things, as the global leverage ratio also approaching other major dumpy areas right here, similar to what we did see on September 7th, similar to what we did see on the bear trap of late July, similar to what we did see at the prior all-time high, and similar to what we saw in the last November correction of last year. So all of these were 30-40% moves or more, and things are lining up to the stars right now for a phenomenally nasty move, probably both to the upside and the downside, as we have pretty much hit all of the short and medium term time frame targets for Bitcoin. Obviously the long term and the macro targets are still very much at play. I think $75,000 is the long term target, and then we have several macro targets, of which that's going to be really fucking fun. But anyways, I do want to focus this video more or less on the short and medium term timeframes here, mostly because I do need to make this rather quick, and I want this to be relatable, as this is perhaps a very interesting day to come. Anyways, what was the biggest thing that happened in the last 24 hours here? Not just Bitcoin making new all-time highs, but actually, if I were to call it the chart of the day, it would certainly be this right here. We do see on the 5-day that we're falling on CME chart, which has been phenomenal to us for the past like entirety of the history, that we did close yet again another 5-day dildo on top of above the topside trend bands right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, now working on 4. We've actually already even tested into the topside trend band thus far. So if you are kind of playing it that way, you do look at that as a bit of a, well, at least a bouncy area. But I would go as far as saying that this would imply that within the next 5 to 10 days, if Bitcoin does come down anywhere around, 59 to 6,000 bucks, I would be looking for, let's call it opportunities right around there. Of course, it's not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but if we were to see like one massive Darth Maul dildo that does put in a wick somewhere down around there, that would be an area that I'm very, very interested in. For the next 5 to 10 days, however, the general disposition that we'll be having is that I would be looking for overall continuation. So any sort of a short-term downside move to those numbers is at least still all good in the hood for the long term. It's only until we really start to close back down below about 6,000 bucks now on the 5-day where I do start to look at this as very questionable and maybe a bit of a fake out. Now again, I'm not looking at it at that right now. As far as volume goes on this last move to the upside, we did close on new all-time highs. Bitcoin closed on new all-time highs on daily, daily, 3-day, and 5-day right here on volume as well, which is good, very, very good. So the market is speaking, and we are also seeing volatility starting to expand as well. I want to remind myself to go over here into the 5-day BBWP reads, which we were following up on not so long ago. Or was it over here? Was it over here? It was over here. My apologies. And what did we see? We did see that 5-day BBWP was coming in the same levels that we have seen, before, all sort of nice major moves. You might even call it that, as we did get down to about 14 percentile, very similar to what we saw before the July bear trap right here. Let me just start to measure these out because I'm kind of curious if there's any sort of rhyme or reason on them. This one about almost 100% move right there from bottom to top. Hold on, that would not make sense. That can't be right. Yeah, it must be more like 70%. Yes, there we go. That makes more sense. But of course, volatility is direction neutral, and we see the past one before that bringing us down about 50% right there. And then of course, the past few ones before that were upside moves. This one giving about 100% over the next few months, and then obviously, just infinitely higher over the following months after that. This one over here, probably the least impressive, but still about a 40% move from bottom to top. And you can see that this goes onwards and forwards. Another big one, of course, coming in back from 2019 reversal from 4,000 to 14,000, which was clean 200% right there as well. So we are coming off the lows, and we are still expanding here as well. And the moving average is actually just starting to get a positive slope on this as well. And that's actually where things do start to move more or less. So I do still look at this as long-term macro bullish. Obviously, short-term, medium-term, I do suspect that we could very easily have a pullback. So we'll talk about that soon enough. But I do want to be on the record as saying long-term, higher-term timeframes, very, very good here. Even 5-day Jewel is getting another positive signature here as well. I guess it's actually not just happening. This was a couple of closures there as well, which we identified about a week and a half ago, I believe. Anyways, let's go back on over to CME chart over here, and let's go into the lower term timeframes now, as I do suspect that that is relevant for many people out there. Not myself right now, because I'm not obviously trading while I'm traveling, because probably not too wise to do that in a market like this. Very unforgiving market, you might even say. So let's see what we got right here. I'm going to actually grab a fresh chart, and we are going to chart this one out as if it was a brand new chart that we've never even seen before, because that is the way that we should be looking at things, well, from day to day, really, realistically. All right, so what do we have right here? Well, Bitcoin did come back down, test around the 21 exponential average, which, a lot of people asked me about this in the Discord, which I didn't really have a chance to respond to, again, because, well, I'm trying to enjoy our time here, but looking at this right here, still more or less an uptrend. So I have no major issues with this at all whatsoever. And I'm not looking for any sort of an even medium-term time frame correction to carry out. As long as Bitcoin is closing very specifically, I'm going to be very, very specific with this number right here. It's about 64,000 bucks on a daily. Could use a 12-hour on that as well. Yep, you could use a 12-hour right there. Make it maybe like 63.8 in this case. And if you're using a 4-hour, same thing as well, 63.8 as well. In fact, actually, if you're using a 4-hour or an hourly, 63.5, I repeat. As long as Bitcoin's above there or those conditions are met, I'm looking for this to trade onwards and upwards, sideways and up, with caution again, because we did hit both the short and medium-term targets that we did have over the past week or so here. So I am, this is this is still looking good. Like, don't get me wrong, but if it does turn around, it will turn around very, very fast, and that is why I'd really put a major caution in this region right here if Bitcoin does start to violate it, on those time frames. So please do understand the relevancy of them and the criteria that needs to be met. If that does happen, I would look for a correction down to about, at the very least, 61,000 bucks, very likely a bounce somewhere around there. However, I don't think that things would realistically stop there. I do think that Bitcoin would get a full-on move somewhere between about 60,000 even and 59,000 bucks. Somewhere around there would look good to me, and that would actually fulfill the 5-day criteria as we did speak about earlier. And I would be looking at that as potentially even a major long-term opportunity. Still be long-term bullish again as long as Bitcoin's above, especially 59 or even 6,000 bucks on a 5-day closure or a daily in that case. Any higher term time frame, I am long-term bullish on this, looking for massively higher prices actually. Anyways, let's see. Speaking of massively higher prices, should we pull up any sort of our more or what would be the next continuation target if assuming that Bitcoin does continue from here? Well, let's pull this baby up over here. Hold on. Let me just, there we go. There she is. Yeah, there she is. And that would be the 1.272 coming out of our prior base. And this base, by the way, is just our, our last major consolidation range, going from May to kind of where we're at right now, actually. And that would just be a first target. So this does correlate to the daily, obviously, or I mean, well, basically like the last half year of a range is what it is. And typically speaking, while I would be looking for a bit of a pullback from the 1.272, I don't typically look for reversals around that region. I look for reversals around the 414, the 618, which are significantly higher actually right now. So long term, again, those I guess would be my next sort of set of areas of interest. And I suppose that I'm cautiously looking sideways and up as long as Bitcoin again is above those areas that we spoke about earlier. It's just the amount of leverage that's on the board right now does make me a little bit concerned. Again, I don't have access to my usual tools, and I'm not able to see everything that I want to see right now, which would make it a little bit more clear as to, or it would give me a little more confidence as to whether we have actually shorts to liquidate or obviously longs. I mean, are on the board as well. And that would massively help. But let's go check out momentum oscillators here as well and see what they are situated at right now. Yeah, daily is way the fuck up there on CME. 66,900 is the magical number to beat today. Otherwise, momentum oscillators will turn down. Now, just as a little bit of an aside, when markets obviously trending on basically all time frame scales like we have right now, it is important to be aware that downside signatures, especially on Stokes, are not to really be trusted. I mean, that's just kind of like your little short-term or medium-term corrections. I don't look at those as like massively playable. I don't look at that as a reversal. At some point, it probably will lead into that, but it's usually not a very trusty thing. What they are pretty damn good at doing, in my experience during trending markets, is getting the signals on the same side of the trend. So just a little bit of an aside right there. Funnily enough, the hourly is like really fucking good for whatever reason in Bitcoin land during trending markets, and hourly Stokes will actually turn back up with any sort of a closure above 65,150 in the next 15 minutes here. So I'm looking at a little bit of a bouncy bounce right here. So if I did call it right now, I'd be looking for another bounce. Short term, if we're going down to an hourly or such, be looking for another bounce somewhere right around about 66 to maybe as much as 665 right here. Wouldn't really come up with any sort of a range to the upside in this case. Again, for me, it's mostly sideways and up here. Again, as long as we are not or not meeting the criteria that we laid out earlier for a bit of a short-term, medium-term reversal there. What else do we have over here on the 4 hour? 4 hour is going to be, or is actually already down, and will turn back up with any sort of a closure above 67,450 basically. And then we can go to the 12 hour and see what the medium-term time frame is doing. Yeah, very similar to the daily, actually, very much within the critical zone. 65,000 bucks, the magical number right there. So again, while personally speaking, I have to be looking for sideways and up from here just based off of my system if I was trading right now. But if we do start to break below those regions, you can see that several things will be turning down at the same time. Even volatility will be turning up against it on the 12 hour right here. So that could be a little bit of a Darth Maul dildo right there in the making. Anyways, we are how deep into this video right now? About 13 minutes. So I think this is about where I want to be on this video. Again, short term, this is rather bouncy right here, yes, and I do think that Bitcoin will get another shot back above 66. And to be fair, I mean, everything is, more or less fine here from a just straight up trending and technical perspective. I'm just worried, not necessarily worried, but just cautionary of the underlying market dynamics, because those are at very, very critical levels right now. And it really wouldn't take too much, it looks like, and we have not seen any major liquidation events. So this market is obviously a game of liquidity, as you very likely know. And if you don't know, you're going to learn. You're going to learn very, very soon, I imagine, probably within the next week, probably even today or tomorrow. Tomorrow being Friday, as that is a classic day. But here's the real analysis. If you stuck it around this long, because I know that very few people actually do, here's the real analysis. We had a Bula moon yesterday. Enjoy. With that said, take care. Wish you well. And next time we speak, we'll be coming at you from Finland. And until next time.